The engines hit first three of them, echoing across the water like someone dropped a car show into my backyard. I froze mid-paddle. Floodlights blasted from my lake garage, the one only I had keys to, and inside, parked bumper to bumper, sat a Dodge Charger, a Jaguar E-Type, and a BMW 3 CSL Classic cars, worth more than my house. Then Camilla Royce stepped onto my dock clipboard, lifted like she owned the shoreline. Perfect timing, Caleb. Our new storage program is officially full. My grip tightened. Storage program? She smiled. You really didn't know your garage is our top money maker. Camilla didn't wait for me to dock. She snapped her fingers at two men inside my lake garage, directing them like she was running a dealership. Slide the Charger closer to the wall. Caleb needs walkway access, she said, as if this whole setup belonged to her. That was Camilla Royce in one move, polished confidence stretched over pure control. She believed every shoreline, every structure, every inch of this neighborhood existed to support whatever community vision she dreamed up. I stepped onto the dock, water dripping from my paddle jacket. Camilla, unlock my garage. Now. She barely glanced at me. Caleb, this isn't personal. The HOA approved a shoreline utilization upgrade. Your garage was underused. Premium members needed space. I'm not in your HOA, I said. This property has been separate since my grandmother built the garage decades before your bylaws existed. One eyebrow lifted, annoyed, not surprised. She already knew that. She just didn't care. Waterfront structures fall under community management, she replied, calmly adjusting her designer glasses. New interpretation of county guidelines. Very modern, very efficient. Inside the garage, one of her workers accidentally brushed the Jaguar's fender. Camilla snapped. Careful, that's a client vehicle. Client. The word lodged like a hook. How many people are paying you to store cars in my building? I asked. Camilla smiled, the kind of smile people wear when the check is already cleared. Enough to keep this program thriving, she said. And since it's already operational, I expect your full cooperation moving forward. My pulse spiked. She wasn't improvising. She'd planned this. The next morning, something new was nailed to my dock. A glossy blue sign that hadn't been there last night. Lake Crest Premium Storage Authorized Access Only. My name wasn't on it. Of course it wasn't. I yanked it off the post and tossed it aside. Before the metal even hit the wood, another surprise waited in my mailbox, a trifold flyer titled Shoreline Enhancement Initiative. Inside, Camilla had printed a photo of my garage and labeled it Shared Community Asset. Shared. Right. That afternoon, unfamiliar cars crawled down my gravel drive, slowing just enough for drivers to stare at the garage before continuing on like tourists checking out an attraction. Because I edit wildlife footage at home, I can't ignore movement around the lake. And Camilla was counting on me seeing all of this. Small jabs, nothing she could be charged for. Everything designed to say, you're losing control. I didn't react. I just took pictures, dates, timestamps, angles, because I knew people like Camilla didn't stop at flyers and signs. This was the warm-up. By Friday morning, the warm-up was over. I walked to the garage and froze. The deadbolt was new industrial steel, unfamiliar brand, drilled cleanly into the frame. My key slid in halfway and jammed. Locked out of my own building. I stepped back just in time to see Camilla approaching with two HOA board members, Marcia Trent and Eli Barker, both carrying tablets like they were surveying public land. Morning, Caleb, Camilla said. We performed a routine security upgrade. On my property, on community property, she corrected. We can't have client vehicles unsecured. Clients again. A local locksmith, Rob, arrived a few minutes later, probably summoned by Marcia. Just need to verify ownership before I open anything, he said politely. It's mine, I said. I have the deed. But Camilla stepped in. Rob, the HOA contracted that lock. If you remove it, you'd be voiding an active service agreement. Rob's face tightened. He runs a small shop. HOA business matters. Sorry, Mr. Morgan, he murmured. I can't get in the middle of this. And he left. Camilla didn't celebrate. She didn't need to. She'd just taken the first physical piece of my property. Saturday didn't just cross a line, it bulldozed it. I woke to laughter echoing across the lake. Not a few voices, dozens. When I stepped outside, the scene stopped me cold. My lake garage doors were rolled open wide. Inside the Charger, the Jaguar and the BMW were angled like showroom pieces under bright, mounted lights. Someone had set up a pastry table on my dock. A banner stretched across the opening Lake Crest Classic Showcase, hosted by Lakeside Reserve Storage LLC. Camilla stood in front with a portable mic, giving a cheerful tour like a cruise director. "This facility demonstrates our commitment to community enrichment," she announced. "My facility." I pushed through the crowd. "Everyone off my property. Now." A ripple of discomfort spread. People glanced at each other confused. Then Darren Cole, one of the car owners, stepped forward. "Camilla said this was HOA owned. I paid 4 months up front." "Are you saying—" Camilla cut him off sharply. "Darren, don't engage. Mr. Morgan is misinformed, uninformed. I took pictures. Faces, vehicles, banner, food table, everything." By noon, the story had spread beyond the lake. My daughter Lena came home from school in tears. "Dad, people are saying you falsified documents to avoid HOA fees," Madison's mom told everyone. Her voice cracked. "That I'm the daughter of a liar." That was the moment my anger stopped being reactive. It became strategic. I called the sheriff's office again. Same deputies, same exhausted expressions. They reviewed my deed, the survey, the photos, everything. Then they reviewed Camilla's binder resolutions, highlighted statutes, waterfront management interpretations printed on official county letterhead. A letterhead I now suspected came from one person, Victor Caro, her retired commissioner ex-husband. "This appears to be a civil matter," the older deputy said. "We can't remove vehicles without a court ruling." Camilla softened her tone instantly. "We appreciate your help, officers. We're simply clarifying boundaries." Clarifying. She'd redefined theft as clarifying. Rachel didn't say much until we got back inside. Then her lawyer voice snapped into place. "Tomorrow we send a formal demand. Certified mail. Then we file a county complaint. And from now on, you record everything." I didn't argue. I mounted 2 more cameras, set motion alerts, positioned my telephoto lens through the upstairs window. That night, the cameras caught people coming and going until nearly 2 a.m. Camilla walked in and out of my garage 6 times. This wasn't confusion. This was an operation. Monday morning brought a certified letter. Not from the HOA, from a law firm downtown. The wording was blunt. "Cease harassment of board members. Cease defamatory statements. Cease interference with authorized HOA activities. Failure to comply may result in damages exceeding $55,000." Rachel scanned it once and snorted. "This is from Trent and Caro LLP, Marcia's husband's firm. Completely improper. I'm filing a bar complaint today." But the letter had already done its job. It confirmed Camilla was no longer bluffing. She was escalating, pulling legal strings, tapping connections, and weaponizing social pressure. And she wasn't done. That afternoon, Lena sat on the porch steps, crying again. "Dad, someone posted online that you're forging land surveys. They said you're endangering the neighborhood. People shared it. Teachers saw it." My fists clenched. Camilla wasn't just attacking me, she was targeting my family. That night, reviewing camera footage, I noticed something I'd missed. A tall man appearing in multiple clips. Always in the background, always watching. I zoomed in, ran a reverse image search. Victor Caro, former county commissioner, Camilla's ex-husband, a man with influence, connections, and a long history of reinterpretations that conveniently benefited certain people. Suddenly everything clicked. Why the deputies hesitated, why the county supported her reading of the statutes, why Camilla acted untouchable. This wasn't one woman abusing power. This was a network. And if I wanted to win, I'd need a battlefield they couldn't rig. Rachel closed her laptop and met my eyes. "The annual HOA meeting is in 3 weeks. We prepare. We present. We expose everything publicly." I nodded. No more warnings. No more letters. From that point on, every photo, every clip, every document had one purpose: to end Camilla Royce's entire operation in one blow. The community center was already full when Rachel and I walked in. Folding chairs scraped. People whispered. Every board member sat at the front table, Marcia stiff, Eli sweating, and Camilla poised like a CEO giving a press conference. She didn't look worried. She looked irritated that I dared to show up. "Let's begin," she said, sharply tapping the microphone. "Tonight's agenda includes Resolution 34-19 regarding waterfront asset management." Exactly the resolution she planned to use to legitimize everything she'd already done. Before she could continue, Rachel rose. "According to your own bylaws," she said, "any property owner under claim jurisdiction has the right to speak during open session. If you consider my husband's garage a community asset, he has speaking rights. If not, this resolution doesn't apply to him at all," the room murmured. Camilla froze for half a second, just enough to show she understood she was trapped. Then, fine. 3 minutes. 3 minutes was all I needed. I walked to the front with my laptop and portable projector. When the lights dimmed, the first photo appeared on the screen: my lake garage, in 1979, taken from my grandmother's old film camera. Her handwriting still marked the edge of the print. "This building predates the HOA," I said calmly, "and tonight I'll show you what's been done to it and to this neighborhood under the claim of community improvement." Camilla's jaw tightened. The room leaned in. Slide after slide filled the screen. Photo 1. My deed dated decades before the HOA existed. Photo 2. The property survey with my parcel clearly outlined, the garage included. Photo 3. The original HOA charter with a handwritten note: Morgan property, excluded by founder request. A few people gasped. Harold King, the oldest board member, nodded slowly. He remembered. Then I switched to the photos that mattered most. A screenshot of Camilla's real estate listing, high resolution, her watermark stamped in the corner, advertising exclusive lakefront storage amenities. My garage stood glowing in golden hour light. "This was used to sell homes," I said, "but it was never yours." Slide click. Lakeside Reserve Storage LLC business registration. Owner Camilla Royce. No HOA affiliation listed anywhere. Slide click. 3 redacted contracts. Monthly fee $240, 4 months paid in advance. All signed by Camilla personally. People started turning toward her now. And then, the final piece, the video. The projector played a time-stamped clip: Camilla walking Darren Cole through my garage, gesturing like a salesperson. "You'll have 24/7 access," her voice echoed. "This space is climate-stable and secure. Perfect for your charger." Darren stood up from the audience, furious. "You told me this belonged to the HOA. I paid you in good faith." Camilla shot up from her seat. "That footage is taken out of context. It shows your voice," Rachel said calmly. "It shows you promising something you didn't own. It shows the operation of a private business under the disguise of HOA authority." Harold stood next. "Camilla, where are the vote records? Where are the minutes approving this?" Silence. Her silence was the loudest evidence in the room. The room erupted: questions, accusations, disbelief. People who had smiled at Camilla for years suddenly saw her differently, not as a leader, but as someone who used authority for personal gain. Camilla raised both hands, trying to regain control. "These claims are slanderous. You're being manipulated by enough," Harold said, voice steady but firm. "I move for an emergency vote to suspend the current board pending independent audit and investigation." "I second," someone called. Then another, and another. Camilla's face drained of color. A paper ballot was unnecessary. Everyone raised their hands. Majority remove. Minority defend. Outcome: Camilla is done. Marcia resigned before the vote even ended. Eli followed, nearly tripping as he exited. Harold turned to me. "Caleb, on behalf of this community, we owe you an apology, and the HOA will cover your legal expenses." Camilla's voice cracked for the first time all night. "You can't do this. I built this neighborhood. I raised its value. I kept order while all of you committed fraud," Rachel said plainly. "And you did it using my husband's property." Security escorted her to the hallway as she insisted everyone would regret this. No one followed her. No one defended her. As the room settled, Harold addressed the members. "Effective immediately, all unauthorized use of Mr. Morgan's garage is terminated. Vehicles removed. Locks returned. And a full audit begins tomorrow." Applause rose, not loud but relieved. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. But this wasn't the end. What happened next would decide whether Camilla's fall stayed local or became something much bigger. When the meeting ended, no one rushed to leave. People lingered in small circles, talking quietly, shaking their heads, glancing toward the hallway where Camilla had been escorted moments earlier. The facade she'd held for 9 years had cracked in a single evening, and everyone seemed stunned by how quickly the truth had snapped into place once the lights dimmed and the projector came on. Harold approached me first. "Caleb, we'll start repairing this tonight." He wasn't exaggerating. Within an hour, he'd gathered 3 volunteers to help remove the HOA-branded signs from my property. The banner that once hung across my garage, a bright fabric symbol of Camilla's entitlement, was pulled down and folded like trash. Someone disconnected the event lights, someone else moved tables off the dock, and the classic cars were pushed gently into neutral and rolled out for pickup. No speeches, no ceremony, just neighbors cleaning up damage they should have never allowed in the first place. When the new lock clicked into place, my lock with my key, Harold handed me a copy of the emergency board order on official HOA letterhead. All unauthorized access revoked. Immediately, for the first time since I'd found those engines roaring inside my garage, the shoreline felt still, quiet, mine again. Before the chairs from the meeting were even stacked, Rachel was already coordinating the next steps. It didn't take long for the fallout to roll in. Camilla had built her empire on shaky paperwork and borrowed authority, and the collapse was swift. The new board filed an internal report, documenting every action she'd taken without approval. Those files were handed directly to county investigators. Darren Cole and 2 other storage clients submitted their statements supported by dated contracts, showing payments made to Lakeside Reserve Storage LLC, Camilla's private business masquerading as an HOA amenity. The State Real Estate Commission suspended her license pending review. Then the IRS arrived. Rachel had predicted that. The storage fees, the inflated community improvement charges, the unreported revenue streams. It was enough for an audit that would haunt her for years. When the district attorney announced misdemeanor fraud charges 3 counts, Camilla's attorney tried to spin them as misunderstandings, clerical errors, miscommunications. No one believed it. Not after the footage, not after the contracts, not after the signatures. As for my civil suit, the judge didn't hesitate. I was awarded $82, 0 inches damages, and $19, 0 inches legal reimbursement, all payable over structured installments Camilla couldn't avoid. A permanent 500-foot restraining order sealed the outcome. If she stepped onto my shoreline again, the consequences would shift from civil to criminal. Even with victory so clear, it didn't feel like gloating. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for months. By the time the legal dust settled, the neighborhood had transformed in ways I never expected. The new board passed a homeowner bill of rights. They added mandatory quarterly audits. They clarified boundaries in plain English, so no one would ever weaponize interpretations again. My garage, even empty, became a symbol, a reminder that people deserved clarity, not control. Lena's world slowly steadied. The same classmates who had repeated lies about me were now sharing the article naming Camilla in the fraud investigation. One of them even apologized in person. Rachel didn't say "I told you so," though she absolutely could have. On a still evening just after sunset, I walked into my garage alone. The air smelled like dust, old lumber, and lake breeze, exactly the way it did when my grandmother showed me how to sand beams as a kid. The floor was empty now. No Charger, no Jaguar, no BMW, just my workbench, my kayak, and the quiet hum of a space finally restored. Harold stopped by, briefly leaning on the doorway. "You know," he said, "there's another neighborhood south of here dealing with their own Camilla. They asked if you might talk to them, maybe show them how you kept records." I laughed under my breath. "Tell them to document everything, and to start before it gets bad." He nodded and left me in the fading light. I stood there a while longer, tracing the grain of the old wood, feeling the calm settle. This battle hadn't started because I wanted it. It started because someone decided my property was convenient for her ambitions. But evidence outlasts ambition. Truth outlasts authority. And no matter how loud someone tries to speak for you, your property still answers to you.